What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about, actually I'm just going to talk about what I'm using in War Offense right now. We're kind of in like a lull of content, waiting for Brother Voodoo to show up. I'm hoping like every night we finally get the offers we can at least do some testing on, because I do want to try him in War Offense. I think he's going to be a great War Offense character. I want to try him in DD5 as well. But for now, just kind of going through a little bit of a backlog of stuff. I did a video a while back talking about like my top war or like what I was using on war defense. I never really talked about what I was using on war offense. I'm going to work on that tonight and really just kind of go over it. What I'm using each team for, like what I kind of like prioritize them for, like if it's like an all-purpose class or just like an all-general, like if I'm just using them for something I feel comfortable on, or really just talking about like what I'm using them as hard counters for. So if you guys do find this video helpful, you do find it informative, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I mean, let's just start off here at the top with Black Order. This is one that it has been very, very much power crept, but still, Black Order is a very reliable team on offense. You know, Thanos does some really good damage. Corvus and Proxima are really good at the dispelling of the positive buffs from the enemy team. Ebony Maw with his Hell Steal, the offense down the enemy team, the defense up on your team, and Cole Obsidian is just tanking everything. But this one, it's really just kind of whatever I run into. Usually, like I see a lot of Web Warriors on defense, and I feel very comfortable in punching up with Black Order against Web Warriors, especially as you see people really build up Web Warriors because they are they're a raid team. So a lot of people will invest in them. Black Order really takes care of that. You've got two characters here with unavoidable attacks with Proxima and Corvus. They can do a triple tap if you have vulnerable on someone. It works great. And, you know, Ghost Spider is a hero controller, so you take care of her. You get rid of the passive retaliations. Now you get the barrier on your team because of Ebony Maw, because you're defeated a hero controller. But also, I've been using this quite a bit for beating up on X-Men teams to a point if I do see them. I do not use this against Doom. There's no way to counter Doom with this team. Silver Surfer, like your Black Bolt, Coulson Surfer teams, I'll use this for as well. They're really a kind of general use team now. They're not, I don't really have any one solid team that I use to beat them on. If I see something close, if I see a solid Marauders team to fight against, if I see a solid Web Warriors team, I'll use this. There's no one team I save Black Order for anymore. They've just been so power crept. They're not like a you must use this team. Like when we get to Weapon X, and we will get to Weapon X here, like I don't have that kind of use for my Black Order anymore. Now moving on to Astonishing X-Men, and by the way, these are not like any rankings of priority. Like this is not like the best War Offense team, then the worst. I'm just kind of scrolling down as we go here. Next up, I have Astonishing X-Men, and this one, I use it a lot for Secret Avengers. There's a lot of Secret Avengers teams out there. You get those Marias with Kestrel and Nick Fury. And Astonishing X-Men punches up big time on those. Any kind of minion team you run into on war defense, these guys are fantastic at it. You know, they can even beat up on Marauders. Like they're a very good all-around team. Again, they're one that again kind of power crept. So a lot of your newer defensive teams will just run roughshod over this. Like, I don't think they really work well against a high gear, high T4 Young Avengers team, but any kind of minion squad you run into out there, not Young Avengers, Astonishing X-Men is really a good answer to that. Any, like, those Hela Merc combos, Hela Loki with Mercenaries, again, this team does great because you have the Gregs that are constantly coming back. So really, really kind of what I use them for, and also kind of the same thing with X-Force. This is my lower power Asgardians. I still see a lot of like Asgardian mercenary combinations out there. This team works really, really well against those because they move so fast that they're able to go before the enemy Taskmaster and the Hela. So this is one I really like to use for those lower power Asgardian or mercenary teams out there. If I see Asgardian team within like 50k power of this team or even 100k punch up, I'll use X-Force. They work really well against Asgardians. Hela is fantastic. X-23 just goes insane and just wipes them out. So yeah, these are two really kind of like any minion teams. I really save these for minion teams. And then moving on, power armor. If I run into, I really should move this one down. I almost never use power armor. If I have an extra attack and I've used all my other war offense teams, I'll use power armor. But it's very rare I use these guys. they have been completely irrelevant for a while. And if the rumors are true, we're going to see something with a rework to Iron Man and some new power armor characters. I hope those power armor characters are wrong, because I would love to see a rework to some of these power armor characters. And yeah, a rework to make Iron Man legendary again. But yeah, power armor I just never really use unless I have my last, like my 14th attack for the war, and I haven't messed up any other attacks. I've got power armor saved here to use. Following up, I've got Shadowland. Shadowland's still incredibly reliable. Marauders, Black Order. If I see a solid Black Order team on defense, I'll throw up a screenshot. It was like a 250k punch-up against Black Order with my Shadowland last war, and it was fantastic. Cleared it, no problems. Really don't have any problem finding those Black Orders. Marauders, they run roughshod over. White Tiger's really kind of the linchpin of that team. If I get her going, I start getting killing blows with her, it's really pretty much over at that point, because she gains so much speed bar. She hits so hard. She's very high in damage. I got the high striker on her, 5 red, 7 yellow on her. Really, this Shadowland has served me very, very well. It's been well over a year, I think, that since Shadowland came out, and it's still one of my most reliable war offense teams. I love using them. I'll even use them against Doom teams because I have the ability block with White Tiger here, and it allows me to counter Dooms that I find on defense as well. You add in the Moon Knight. As long as they have deflect, Moon Knight moves pretty quickly. He gets the dispel against the entire enemy team, gets a bunch of negative effects on them. You follow up with White Tiger here, and she does her ability block. It's perfect. I love this team. It is a team that has served me incredibly well in war, and I always find a use for them on war offense. Now, Infinity Watch is really pretty much for me at this point a Heroes for Hire counter, or if I run into a strong Eternals team on defense, that's what I really use Infinity Watch for. You know, they're okay against Heroes for Hire. I still, like, as anybody can attest, they're not reliable against the Shang-Chi Heroes for Hire. That's nothing new, but they work very well against a lot of those hybrid, like, Eternal teams you find out there. Like, you'll see Eternals with, like, Surfer or New Warriors, and this team does very well against that. There's a lot of safeguard and immunity flying around. They really prevent the Eternals from getting, like, a lot of those buff flips, and if you focus down Icarus really quickly, it's really not a problem with your Infinity Watch. This is really more for, like, those, like, some of your more powerful war defense teams, not like Young Avengers or Weapon X, but like, this is very good for my Eternals. I'll use them for Heroes for Hire if I need to, but I really save this for, like, any Eternals teams I find on defense, and they work great. X-Factor. I've actually got 2 different combinations of X-Factor on here. I've got the Rhino for Brotherhood Doom. Rhino clears the blinds, and you always gotta make sure that Rhino is in the center, because if he's, like, off to the side, he won't get pulled in, he won't get the blind, and he won't clear it off people. So you gotta make sure Rhino is front and center on the team. Yeah, clears the blinds off, basically prevents the power of the Brotherhood Doom teams from really working. You get all these unblockable attacks with Shatterstar and Longshot. They, yeah, I mean, you just kind of kill Doom pretty quickly. That's one of the 2 versions I use. The other version I use is with Namor. I might as well talk about that now. Namor. Reason I use Namor is because his ultimate, it removes speed bar, it removes all buffs, and is a guaranteed crit as long as they don't have deflect. Drives the speed bar on this team. It's a pretty significant speed bar boost for your team, and speed bar reduction for the enemy team is like 50% off for the enemy team, 20% now for your X Factor because of that crit. So you're talking substantial change in speed bar by having Namor in there. Works fantastic as the 5th. We've never gotten the 5th or X Factor, but, you know, one day maybe we'll get a 5th for X Factor, but Namor and Rhino are both very solid war offense plugins for that 5th spot, and X Factor, yeah, you can't really go wrong with that. Now this is going to change very soon. This is just for, like, the next 2 weeks, fingers crossed, until we get Morbius. Brother Voodoo should be any day now. By this weekend, we should have Brother Voodoo offers, but Morbius and Brother Voodoo are going to completely change this. I have been kind of evaluating my options. Again, no access on a playtest server to Dark Hunters, so I can't really test this team out. I can't really do a guide on the best T4s and gearing on them. I can do a speculation, but I don't want to do that and then drop another guide afterwards. It's just going to confuse people. But Really, right now with the reworks already, Ghost Rider is just an absolute monster. Mordo with his rework on his special that does the stun and applies blind to 3 other enemies. Mwah. It's beautiful. I love it. The rework to Mordo has been great. The stat boost to Ghost Rider has just been gross for what the Supernatural, as Hella Natural team does. Really, I'll use this for when I find Wave 1 Avengers. I haven't found a lot of uses for them yet. I mean, I did a video talking about how you can use new warriors with them, but I have new warriors on defense most of the time, so I don't really worry about using new warriors with your Dark Hunters. This is really what I'm kind of using more for them right now. And of course, Hela, spreads everything out, and now more reliable chance to apply blind with Mordo. So now more reliable chance to spread blind with Hela here. It's just the rework has taken Hela Natural up a bit of a level. It's not like made them suddenly a big counter to other teams, but now it's a much more comfortable punch up against Wave 1 Avengers. Any other team that you usually use your Hela Natural against, you're probably going to do much better now. You can even bring Zemo in, and you can get a Zemo with Hela Natural and do some really gross stuff too. Skillitary is next, and they've kind of fallen off. They're still great for countering Emma. If you find a Doom, the Brotherhood Doom, like, they're really good counters to Doom. You get the ability block on with Red Guardian against Doom. Black Widow is constantly stealing buffs. You get offense up on Punisher, and like I had him up to tier 15 because I used him for DD4. Punisher just absolutely slaps on his attacks. 300, 400k on his attacks here. He just wrecks shop once you get that offense up with him, thanks to the combination of Black Widow and Yelena. Does great. Sunk a lot of T4s into this team that when they got their initial Skillitary 1.0 rework, as we all know, it was disappointing. Skillitary 2.0 came along. Skillitary was much, much better after that. Completely just destroys Emma teams. Great counter against Doom. Otherwise, I mean, it was funny watching them counter the original Heroes for Hire before Shang-Chi showed up. But when Shang-Chi showed up, that kind of fell off. This is really safe for those Emma teams. And you see a lot of Emma teams. That's what my Skillitary team is for. And then Weapon X. This is solely right now for Heroes for Hire. And we don't see a lot of Young Avengers. A lot of people have not really bought into Young Avengers. So I don't think so. Like, there's really no need for me to worry about this just yet. A lot of the Young Avengers teams we see are very low level. Remember, I'm only Plat 2, so I'm not finding a lot of 800, 900k Young Avenger teams out there. So really, Weapon X is saved for Heroes for Hire. And we have Legendary Event returning in a few days, and I'm working on a guide for that, talking about like what to use your Omega Red for. But yeah, Weapon X just walks right over, do solid 300k punch-ups against Heroes for Hire. They're going to walk right over Young Avengers as well. This is still like your best war offense team. I think Ravagers are a tier below Weapon X. I figure Dark Hunters will also be a tier below Weapon X. But Weapon X is going to be, for a while, uncontested, especially since there's a legendary character tied to it. They want to keep this as the best war offense team for a while. They want to get that legendary... They want to kind of get that use a legendary tag on Omega Red. I do not expect this to be replaced as the top tier war offense team, at least for a few months. And then, here we go. Hydra. I mean, Hydra is still reliable. You get the Skirmisher on Zemo, and Mr. Hargrave schooled me a little bit on my Hydra and getting it up to snuff. But yeah, you can use them to counter Doom. I've seen that happen. They're great against Mercs, especially if you have a geared up Hydra Grenadier like I do here. 6 red, tier 14 on him. Striker ISO. Best damage on Hydra Grenadier. Great to counter Mercs. Great to counter any kind of minion team if you have shield still out there. If you don't have Kestrel on the shield team, which you see occasionally, this will walk right over it. But yeah, not as useful as it used to be, but still a solid mid-tier war offense team in my opinion. X-Men, Uncanny X-Men with Magic has gotten much, much better. I have not really geared up Magic like I want to, but I will say if you do invest the time and the T4s into this team, this can't even beat Black Order on defense, which is hilarious because they kill Phoenix, you get ability block, and then Magic just cleans it off with her ultimate. So ability block doesn't do anything. That means Phoenix has free reign to use her special and her ultimate. Just wipe out characters. No ability block on Storm. You get all the stacks of charge on Storm. You get those stuns. This has actually become a very reliable mid-tier war offense team because you use magic to build up those charges on Storm. Her second turn does that special, and you could use that, or you can use her ultimate with that defense down if Phoenix dies. That ultimate from Storm is going to murder everybody, or you can guaranteed stuns on everybody with Storm. So, you know, it's winner, it's you pick. Storm is great now with this magic and Phoenix combination here. Fantastic. Love what I get out of them. Really no complaints here with this team. It's nice to get Uncanny X-Men used again. Before, like, you were using them for, like, what? Like, Tech Nerva teams, some mercenary teams, but now, like, they have the potential to beat Black Order. Teams that can really put out the ability block. You have magic removing it. It's great. And yeah, with that stun, you can't go wrong with Uncanny X-Men. So, this is one, I see a lot of people throw this on defense, but because it's so susceptible to minion attacks with Symbiotes and with Astonishing X-Men, I've been saving it for offense. I use this all the time to beat Doom teams. Eternals also, they don't really work against Eternals unless you can really speed them up somehow. You have to bring in some other characters. You can get them to kind of beat up on Eternals, because then you can get Sam going fast. You can get him to speed up Sharon, which will then stun one of the Eternals. It's iffy, very sketchy. Don't recommend it, but any kind of Doom team out there, this is really great for beating Doom on defense. You know, they don't really have like one necessary hard counter, but they're again like they're really an all-purpose team for me. You know, I don't have one team I have to use them against. I've seen people use them against Young Avengers, but that seems more like a punch down. If you have a fully upgraded Young Avengers team, I do not see this punching up or punching across. You have to punch down significantly against Young Avengers, but this team is again still going to have some solid power behind it. Gear up that Kestrel, you get the ultimate that can prevent revives, which is great. And then so Eternals, you're asking why I have just 2 spots. This is because this is my default layout for Eternals, and I bring in who I need to based on what I'm fighting. Right now, I don't have Loki on defense, so I use him on offense if I need to. If I'm running up against a mirror match of Eternals, they don't have if they have like Loki, or they have like Emma and Cable or something, they bring in Emma with their Eternals. I bring in Loki, I bring in my own Emma, and then that will allow my Cersei to go first, reduce speed bar, and because I have 7 red tier 16 on both my Eternals, stupidly good red star pulls on Cersei for that, and just general promotions on Icarus, they're gonna beat most teams I run into on defense. And I've done 300, 400k punch-ups on mirror matches with my Eternals here. So, you know, they're very, very good. They're pretty much a solid Eternals counter. Pretty much any strong ward defense team that I run into, I usually drop these 2. I can even use them against Young Avengers. They don't really have a problem running against Young Avengers, which is hilarious. So, yeah, they're really kind of all-purpose for me. And then, finally, Ravagers, my new favorite team in Marvel Strike Force. I love them. I think they're an upper-tier team for war offense. Not top tier. That belongs to the likes of Weapon X, but they are just below Weapon X. They'll beat just about anything. I haven't tried them against Young Avengers too well. The Young Avengers and Heroes for Hire and Weapon X are like the 3 teams they won't beat, but everything else is fair game. I have destroyed Astonishing X-Men teams on big punch-ups. I have countered Eternals with my Ravagers when I bring in Emma. They work great. I even got 2 of these characters I'm using in DD5. Yeah, Ravagers, I love them. Like, they'll beat just about anything except your top tier war defense team. So, you know, if you sunk the resources into them, you have solid tech characters here as well with T'Challa and Ravager Stitcher. I use them all the time in tech raids as well. Use them in DD5. So yeah, no complaints at all. But really, that's kind of just a couple of variations of what I mean. Like, this is what I use for Eternals. No problem in finding Eternals. And my other Namor variant of my X Factor team. But really, I kind of want to just go over my war offense teams, talk about what I'm using, because I know people have asked about it before. When I did my war defense roster review, I had people asking about the war offense one. I just never got to it. So I'm kind of doing an update on this. And I figure at some point now we've got like this lull in content. I'll talk about my war defense roster at some point. But if you guys have any questions about who I'm using on war offense or why I'm not using a certain team on offense versus defense, let me know down below. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, found it helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time.